Am I the idiot for no longer making toys and furniture for my dead brother's ex after her new husband exploded on me? My brother died before his firstborn child was born. Because of this, I've had an above-average involvement in my nephew's life. One thing I've always done is build him toys and furniture. It was a way of providing without the awkwardness of handing over cash. Also, between my late brother's cash and life insurance via work, a trust was set up for my nephew £4,500,000. He wasn't actually married to my sister-in-law. Now via the lab at work, I've made him a lot of wooden or 3D printed toys, but also some simple handmade electronic toys. My sister-in-law was always grateful for these, and my nephew, by all accounts, loves his custom toys. Fast forward 3 years and my former sister-in-law has gotten married. I was attending my nephew's 3rd birthday, and I turned up the night before to assemble his present. It was a small climbing frame/swing set I had watched better carpenters than me in the lab make. The new husband was a little standoffish, but on the day of the party he was telling anyone who listened that I didn't pay or make the present I had at work for free. This culminated in him calling all my presents an embarrassment, and given my fancy job I could afford to splash some cash. I confronted him and my former sister-in-law, and she basically confirmed that whilst the presents were appreciated, she honestly expected more direct support from me after my brother's death. My mother stepped in and reminded her my brother paid for this house and they regularly take cash out of the trust, approximate £10,000 a year. We walked out without hearing any worthwhile response, but I continued to see my nephew without incident. 6 to 7 months go by and I'm visiting only to be told my former sister-in-law was pregnant with twins, and she was wondering if I could make some duplicates of items I made for my nephew as they needed 2 sets. I scoffed, said she had balls asking me to make stuff after she was so ungrateful and I owe her unborn children very little. She got upset and explained her prior statements about my handmade gifts, and said she felt they were the kind of little things someone did as a favor, not what a family provides. That's why she's asking me now as a friend to do her a favor and manufacture duplicates. I said no again, and her husband shouted through that it didn't matter, they would just use the trust to provide for kids like it's supposed to. I retorted that it was for my nephew and good luck accessing it for that because the trust requires my signature to pay out. I wasn't even home before he was calling me to apologize, clearly unaware I held the reins to my late brother's money. The apology was insincere and I asked to speak to my former sister-in-law, where I confirmed again I wouldn't be manufacturing her anything. I'll still be an uncle to my nephew and be impartial when it comes to her accessing my nephew's trust, but her husband has burned a lot of my goodwill with this. Am I the idiot for not doing her a favor after all that? Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. First, my condolences on the loss of your brother. Your sister-in-law is beyond entitled. She lives in a house for your late brother and benefits from a trust, and then has the gall to criticize your gifts to your nephew. Outrageous. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Sorry for your loss. Your brother was so smart to give you control over the trust for your nephew. That ensures your nephew's position is protected both financially and in this new family. Sister-in-law's new husband is bad news, and she doesn't seem to have good judgment. If you didn't have oversight on things, I bet your nephew would have been robbed and neglected by these greedy people. Now for the update. So, I've had a few requests for an update. So here goes. As highlighted in the comments of my last post, the main issue wasn't whether I manufactured anything for my former sister-in-law, it was the money my brother left his son. So whilst I felt it was an overreaction to their behavior to withhold gifts, I came to the conclusion I was underreacting to her husband's comments regarding my nephew's money. So I contacted the solicitor involved and pushed more responsibility onto them for signing off on money being withdrawn from the trust. She is required to enforce the trust's documentation fully, and this has meant no more withdrawing money without explicit proof it was for my nephew's benefit. To my former sister-in-law's credit, she understood why I did this. She was sensible enough to see these boundaries were not my doing but the insurance company's, and nothing has changed in regards to our relationship and the time I spend with my nephew. Unfortunately, her husband took things badly and hasn't spoken to me since. On top of this, for the following months he became incredibly petty regarding money. He would track to the last penny everything my nephew ate, drank, or played with. He was doing things like putting restaurant orders through with my nephew's food on a separate receipt or keeping track of prescription charges just so he could be in a position to claim the maximum value from the trust. The stress of raising their twins seems to have stifled this. Despite all the tracking, I've not been asked to sign off on anything thus far, but those receipts could still be claimed for. It's unfortunate, but I can't protect this money from legitimate, if petty, claims. I also fully expect the house bought with my brother's money would go to the husband of my sister-in-law to die giving their children together. She owns it outright with no strings attached. I've kept a close eye on how my nephew is being treated, and by all accounts this hasn't trickled down to how my SIL/her husband treats him at all. This seems to have been kept as a disagreement between adults regarding money, and my mother, who regularly babysits, claims her husband appears to be continuing to treat my nephew like his own. Despite that, Our faith in my nephew's money being the safety net it was always intended to be has been shaken, so my recently departed grandmother got the ball rolling on starting a second, much more ironclad, pool of money for my nephew. It's nothing overly elaborate, just money my late brother would have been entitled to skipping straight to my nephew. Ideally this won't have to be relied upon, but between what my grandmother set aside and our mother's intended, my nephew will have enough for a head start in life regardless of what happens to his existing money. It isn't a perfect solution, but when it comes to inheritance and family money there rarely is. Oh, and in what's kinda become a side issue. I made the furniture in the end. Comment 1. It's still shameful how the husband made such an issue about money and your former sister-in-law following suit. Comment 2. Wow, the pettiness of this man. He is going to do his darndest to drain that boy's money. His sister-in-law is complacent in this. I pray he has some left over when he reaches adulthood. Comment 3. You're the idiot. Seriously? You're still holding on to your petty grudges and trying to control your late brother's money? It's clear that you have a power trip going on, thinking that you have the ultimate say in everything. And now you're gloating about how you started a second trust fund just to have more control over the money? Your sister-in-law's husband may have made some petty actions regarding receipts, but you've taken it to a whole new level of vindictiveness. It's not about protecting your nephew's future, it's about asserting your dominance and ensuring that you have the final say in everything. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for making my wife sleep on the couch? Me, male 28, and my wife, female 26, have a 6-month-old little girl together, who still needs formula and milk. I work and my wife usually takes care of her. Whenever I get days off from work, I'll take care of our daughter and my wife can just get a break. Sometimes she visits friends, or other times she just stays home and relaxes. 3 days ago was a day off for me, and for the week prior I told my wife that I was going to take this one day to myself after a long time of no breaks. Come the day of my relaxation, my wife wakes me up to tell me she's leaving to go out with friends and to take care of my daughter. She left before I could really say much, and I was livid. I obviously can't just ignore our daughter, so I took care of her for the entire day and had multiple times where I was just sitting next to her because I knew something was about to happen. I was usually right in those situations. In some of my brief moments of freedom, I called my wife to tell her that she should come home, and I would like some form of a break for one day. Finally, I grabbed a pillow and blanket and threw them on the couch and waited for her to come home. When she did, I told her next time I had a day off, I'm taking a change of clothes to my car, so there is no chance of a repeat today. I then told her the baby was asleep and that I'm getting the bedroom to myself tonight. I went to sleep in the middle of the bed, spread eagle style, so she wouldn't move back and next to me. The next morning my wife told me that I was an AH for doing that, and bringing a change of clothes to my car next time wouldn't be necessary. I don't feel like I did anything wrong here, but maybe I did. So am I the idiot? Edit. Apparently this needs clarification. She acknowledged and agreed to my day off. I take care of my daughter every morning, evening, and some nights. I do not only pay attention to her on days off. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. I think you were very restrained. Your wife deserves a break sometimes, but so do you. Her taking off early in the morning when she knew it was your break day was a true AH move on her part. You making her sleep on the couch was awesome. I'm sure some folks will call you an AH for that move. But here's the deal. If the roles were reversed, I doubt if your wife would have been kind enough to let you sleep on the couch. You might have been sleeping in the car. I think you did absolutely nothing wrong. The only idiot in this story is the woman who you made to sleep on the couch. Comment 2. Everyone sucks here. You both need to grow up and learn to communicate better. Now for the update. So I completely forgot about Reddit for a while, but we had a discussion and admitted we were both being childish and needed to do better for each other and for our child. My mother came into town 2 weeks after the post and wanted a grandmother and granddaughter bonding day, so we obviously took that chance to have a date night. My daughter has gotten much better with sleeping all night, and it's been pretty good all around. Thank you all for the kind advice, and to those who thought we would be divorcing over something small like that, I wish you luck in your relationships. We've had more and more date nights when we can, and I think our relationship is at its strongest at this point. Comment 1. What's the car and clothes thing about? Then the original poster responded with, I was mostly frustrated, but it was basically I parked the car in the driveway and I'm ready to go to the gym or wherever on my day off before I could be surprised to learn I would no longer have a day off. Comment 2. I don't know if this is my place to talk, and I'm glad your relationship is going well, but I don't think you were to blame here at all. All you asked for was one day off, and she agreed and proceeded to not give two flips about it. That's pretty rude. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for still going to a party while my dad was in the hospital? We live in the same city. I am estranged from my parents. We have always had a difficult relationship. I went no contact with my parents about 3 years ago after we had a fight about if I was ever going to marry someone. They accused me of sleeping with men. being a degenerate, and some other accusations which were not true at all. It had been a long time coming, as they had always disapproved of me pursuing a stressful career which left me no time to have children and be a good wife. These are things I don't want. I have no interest in sexual relationships or having children. I have tried to explain that those things are not what I wanted in my life, but they never believed me at all. It was stressful and made me deeply unhappy. Honestly, the last 3 years have been the happiest in my life. My parents make me deeply unhappy about myself, and they make my self-esteem issue worse. No contact has been the best thing that I ever did. I was going to a small party hosted by my best friend. I was halfway there when my brother called and told me that Dad was sick and was being taken to the hospital. I told him that I was busy and asked him if wanted money, and told him I would send some money the next day. He was fine with it. This party was pretty important. My best friend and her husband had been struggling to get pregnant, and she had miscarried once before. It absolutely broke them, but she is pregnant now, and the doc said the risk of miscarriage was mostly past, and they wanted to tell our little band of friends. I wanted to be there for her, and yet pandemic has not been easy for any of us. I really wanted to make some happy memories. My brother called me the next day, and he called me cold-hearted for not coming over to be there with Dad and called me ungrateful. I think he saw the stories one of my friends posted. I feel guilty now. I should have gone. I think. I am his daughter, and he does care for me in his own way. I just decided on the spot I would rather be with my best friend than my family. I feel it is a bit of a selfish decision. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. You owe your parents nothing. They pushed you away and expected you to keep coming back for more abuse. Choose your own happiness. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Your post comes across as if you feel guilty about not caring more. Don't beat yourself up, there is clearly a good reason behind you going no contact. You can't just decide to care if at heart you don't. All you could do is pretend, and it's debatable whether that would help anyone. He does care for me in his own way. It's rather telling that you felt the need to qualify that. Now for the update. I got many supportive comments, and I realized I wasn't in the wrong. I told my brother that I would send him all the money he needed for his treatment, but I wouldn't be visiting him or Mom. My dad recovered, but he was in a wheelchair for a while when he got out of the hospital. My brother contacted me and said he wanted to talk to me, and he said my dad sounded really apologetic, and he begged me to give him a chance. I did, and my dad apologized. He said he had been in a lot of pain, and he was scared that he would die while they took him to the hospital, and it made him realize that he would rather have me in my life than not. He said that they were willing to accept any decision I would take. They wanted me in their life, and that they have missed me. I was moved, honestly. My dad never lies. He speaks what is in his mind, and I trusted him. I have been to 3 dinners and they have been nice. I hope they continue to be nice. I love them, and I wish we could go back to the relationship I had in high school. Comment 1. Unfortunately, being near death is when most people realize they've been an idiot. Some are fortunate enough to survive to make amends. I wish you and your parents the best. It sounds like they legitimately saw the error of their ways. Comment 2. Take the words from your dad with a grain of salt. Me and my dad never got along. He provided me with education and other necessities, not love or time. My dad had a near paralysis experience. 2 surgeries to his spinal cord that left him bedridden for months. The man I've never seen cry broke down and said, "I should have spent more time with my son." I believed him. Then as he got better, he reverted back to his old self. If you enjoyed today's video, you'll like these ones too. Thanks for watching and see you next time.